Well, that kind of stole how I was going to introduce myself, but good morning. So as mentioned, I'm with IBEW. I'm a veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan, and it took me a minute. Actually, am I saying next slide or am I clicking? Doesn't matter. I can tell you next slide. Thank you. Kind of blind. So where this all started for me is we've heard a lot this morning about mental health and suicide. That's why I'm here. I'm standing on this stage because that impacted my life in a way that I never really thought it would, and I sure did never believe that I'd be standing on a stage addressing a room full of iron workers and your employers. Incredibly honored to be here, but that's the root of where this happened. Shortly after coming on staff as an organizer for my local, the IBEW 1547 covering the state of Alaska, I lost one of my service members to suicide from my Afghanistan deployment. I had lost service members that were peers to me before, but he was the first subordinate, if you will, and it shook me. I felt I failed as a leader. I felt I failed in my responsibility to him and his family. Somehow I didn't live up to what I was supposed to do. So I got mad. To be frank, I got angry. I started looking at my life and how I had access to an apprenticeship. I had a career path. He didn't have any of those things. That's why it ended up becoming too much. So I got to work figuring out how I can impact that change. It started with what I knew. As an IBEW member, I found the Veterans Electrical Entry Program and got that going in Alaska. When, hey, this is great, but not everybody wants to be an electrician, not everybody wants to be in the IBEW, how do I do more? So I started VIPER Transitions as a nonprofit. And the whole goal of VIPER Transitions that we're going to dive into a little bit more is to spread opportunity to as many service members and their families as possible into whatever industry fits them best. I can go to the slides now, please. Here's a quick video from James Owens, kind of gives a background on where we came from, how this whole thing got started, and where we're looking to go.
The ironworkers have always been actively developing ways to get veterans into our registered apprenticeship programs. Veterans are typically an excellent match for the structure and physical nature of being an ironworker apprentice. We all know that it's not for everybody, but the veterans seem to fit in really well. Providing individuals who served our country an opportunity at a real career as they re-enter the workforce not only helps ensure that individual's success and opportunity, but they're able to capitalize on that opportunity. It also helps create the skilled and trained workforce needed to fill the massive number of jobs in the construction industry that we see today. In 2023, Ironworkers International, under the guidance of General President Eric Dean, made a significant investment and an intentional partnership with VIPER. This partnership and investment, we hope, will lead to an active effort to expand a national ironworkers pre-apprenticeship that was created by the National Training Fund that provides a direct entry pathway to ironworker apprenticeships for our active service members and our veterans. Our hope is to place a minimum of 60 veterans a year into ironworker apprenticeships nationwide. This partnership will also assist VIPER in its mission to provide opportunities to our veterans and service members, as well as reduce the number of veteran suicide, which is the goal of the VIPER program and all of us. The Ironworker VIPER partnership in 2023 has already placed a registered 5 veterans into our apprenticeship programs, and we hope that 2024 will be the year that sets the pace. A special thank you to our fantastic local union and apprenticeship leadership nationwide, as they have committed to ensuring we meet our goals and doing all they can to help the veterans get into their programs. The Ironworkers are excited about the Ironworker VIPER partnership and have already begun working together to set the stage for 2024. Because at the end of the day, every veteran deserves the opportunity of the life-sustaining career in the ironworkers that is provided by registered apprenticeship programs. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Well, that video sums up a lot of what we're trying to accomplish. So what is VIPER? VIPER is a belief. It's a mission. It's an objective. It's something we're trying to accomplish. I firmly believe that through our partnerships and establishing these different programs, we're going to address the issues. Here in the panel go before me really kind of emboldened me into this whole concept, because I firmly believe you're right. We are not the people to have that in-depth conversation about your mental health. But we sure better be able to direct you to those resources in a way that's going to help impact your life. That is something that we can do. That is something we can get aggressive on. That is something we can push. So what VIPER is the things you see on the board, right? When you look us up and you start checking boxes, that is what it is. But we're so much more than that. We're a belief that a quality career is the best start to addressing these problems. You heard financial insecurity was the number one stressor that people surveyed. It's not wrong. I haven't even looked at their data, and I can firmly back that up because of the data I have looked at. It says the same thing. That is number one. Having been a veteran and coming out with a young wife and a newborn baby and no real direction, no real purpose, nothing to look forward to, I can attest to that. That was the main stressor in my own transition. It was the main stressor in a lot of the transitions I know from other vets. You know, when we start talking about the military, most of us didn't enlist in the military because we thought college was the right idea. It doesn't really change after 3, 4, 7 years. It's still not quite the right idea. And when you really start digging into it, 88% of the vets who end up going to college don't finish. And there's other issues that come along with that. It becomes failure, right? We're not good at failing. I don't do well with failure. I'll never quit. I'll never accept defeat. These are mottos we live by, and failure is not an option. So when I feel like I've failed, my entire being of who I am is struck to the core. And that happens. When you look at the opportunities, you've got 200,000 service members getting out every year. So when you're talking workforce development and market share in that next workforce, they're there. 42% are minority. Only 10% are over the age of 40. So if you're looking for a diverse young workforce, this is a great place to start. And by doing so, you're going to impact the lives of a whole bunch of people. You see the numbers up there. You're talking millions of families. Millions of families. You know, everybody, I'm sure, has heard the battle cry about 22 a day. There's debate on how accurate that number is, but there's studies out there saying it could be as high as 44 a day. That's 44 families every day impacted by an epidemic that is plaguing not just veterans, but it's across all of our industries. It's something I firmly believe that we can make an impact on. So what is the transitions process? Well, they say it starts about 2 years out from your separation date. It's not entirely accurate, and especially with DoD and their recruitment problems, it's definitely not accurate. It starts about a year out. They start looking at, hey, what am I going to do when I step out of the uniform? Where am I going to go? How am I going to pay for life? How am I going to take care of my family, et cetera? The magic happens in that last 6 months, 180 days. That's what this program is designed to be. We want to get to them in that transitions window, so when they do get their separation form, you stand outside with your DD-214, you know where you're going, you know what you're going to make, you know what your benefits look like, you know what you're doing with your future. You just gave them distance, direction, description of the target. All they got to do now is engage. So we're not just out here throwing around cool, crazy ideas because we think it sounds fun and, oh, hey, that might work. No, we're talking to people. We're working heavily with DoD, DOL, the VA, and we're taking advice and bits and pieces of what's worked with other programs and compiling it all under one roof, right? Because part of the problem veterans have is when it comes to resources and finding those resources, there's this group over here, there's this group over here, there's that group over there. But if you don't know who those groups are, good luck finding them. So as the panel said before, being that signpost to direct you to the right resource for what your issue is, that's part of what VIPER's big mission is. Not only to bring you the workforce of tomorrow, but when they need something, to be able to point them in the right direction to get the resources they need to succeed in their daily life. That third category, that outside of the workspace piece. You can definitely impact all of the stuff on the job. You can impact all the stuff inside your companies. You can impact how you treat apprentices. That's cultural stuff. You can change that. You can affect that. What you can't affect is what happens when they go home. Right? But what we can do is direct them to the resources that help impact that at-home space. So as a nonprofit, I recognized early on that being a diverse nonprofit was going to be absolutely key, right? I don't want to see, hey, this is an IBW guy started a nonprofit. Oh, he's just this union thug trying to get stuff done. He's an organizer. Oh, he's out for ulterior motives. So I partner with anybody. And yes, I mean anybody. I work with aviation companies in the aviation industry because they need A&P mechanics. And everybody I work with, they have to do the same things that we do. You're going to guarantee them a job. You're going to guarantee them their pay rate. You're going to guarantee them their benefits. And you're going to put it in writing, and you're going to sign an agreement with them. Sounds familiar, right? We call it a CBA. Some of these companies don't know what that is yet. If you're an organizer in the room, hint, hint, wink, wink. But what that does, it allows a company to get comfortable with signing an agreement with a vet saying, hey, I recognize your value, and I am willing to commit to this. And if that works for the veteran, okay, we'll have a deal. We'll put you through a program. So the two new pathways we've got going on specific to iron workers are a single-day assessment. We rolled that out going, hey, we got to get some movement on this. So we held our first single day assessment in San Diego. We're going to come beat you up for a day. You make it. Congratulations, you're in. That was step number one. The real plan for this moving forward is to do that single day assessment, possibly a couple days. I'm trying to get more of the building trades involved and turn it into like a week long. We're going to beat you up and figure out which trade fits you best before we send you into anything. And then the follow-on will be entry into your pre-apprenticeship to gain access to direct entry into your apprenticeship. Right, because part of where I've seen from our own program inside the IBW with VEEP and VIP and talking with all these guys is that there's that scrubbing tool, that process of how somebody gets in is incredibly key, because there's no way I'd be one of you. One, I hate heights. Two, I'm lazy and I don't want to pick up heavy stuff all day. Like my back couldn't handle it anymore. But we need to have those conversations with the vets coming to us about what the realistic expectations are for the career field that they're getting into. So that's why we set it up this way. So our first cohort, I will always be in love with Local 751. It's my baby brother's local. Just turned out, by the way. I'm very proud of them. They were the first ones to come to me and say, hey, we're interested in figuring out how to make this thing work. So, all right, well, do you have a pre-apprenticeship? They said, absolutely, here it is. I'm like, great. We're going to make it a veteran pre-apprenticeship. We'll roll it in underneath our SkillBridge umbrella that we have with DOD, and let's do it. The International got involved and said, hey, we really want to push this thing, and that's why I'm standing here today. There's no reason that we can't take this program and expand it coast to coast, increase our outreach, increase opportunities for hosting training. Nellis Air Force Base, if you're in Nevada, they invited us to come down. I got a phone call and said, hey, VIPER, we want you to bring programs to Nellis Air Force Base. Are you interested? And I said, absolutely. You're the most successful SkillBridge program the Air Force has, and making programs work there will open the door to any installation anywhere we want. So as I mentioned, we're small, but we're growing. We just got our MOU signed with the Assistant Secretary of Labor, the Honorable James Rodriguez, to be a DOL Employment Navigator Program partner. This is the program that I see eventually someday replacing the Transition Assistance Program. It's individualized counseling based off of the service members' needs and desires. So we made sure we got that done. H2H, if you haven't gone down and talked to the Helmets to Hard Hats booth, I highly encourage you to do it. I work with Martin and his team on a regular basis. They do a tremendous job of outreach. And the reason they've partnered with VIPER is my whole focus is to fix the placement. They can go contact 15,000 vets in a year. What do we do with them once they contact them? How do we get them in? Where do we fit them in? How do we design programs to get them whatever training they need so they can step foot on the job? In November, I had about 112 vets in our system trying to get placed through VIPER. When I checked the numbers last night before coming up here today, we were at over 3,200 vets. So they're out there, they're interested, and to be frank, it's who's going to open the door first, who's going to open the door fastest, who's going to set themselves up for success with a true, full wraparound support system for these vets. And when I mean wraparound, you're not going to be experts on everything, but we need to be able to provide them the resources to attain the things they need to be successful. I already said it once, never quit, never accept defeat. I can promise you right now that this is the hill that I'm going to die on. The whole reason I am here is because I have a 12-year-old son and a 10-year-old daughter who think the world of me. They know I was in the military. They see all of my friends and think that they're great, and I have no doubts that in a few years, they might be following Daddy's footsteps. It's my duty as not just a vet, but as a dad to make sure that I have that system fixed, so when they enter that and they go to get out, they're not faced with the homelessness and the self-doubt that I was faced with when I got out. The whole point of being that generation is to make it better for the ones that follow us, and that's why I'm here. That concludes my slide. General President Dean, thank you so much for the invitation. Everyone at Impact, thank you for all of your support. Brothers and sisters, it's truly an honor as a member of labor and a veteran to stand here before you and talk to you about the importance of what we're doing. Thank you for your time.